everybody, Bill here. Today I thought what we would do is we would work on a steering column for the truck. It's got a automatic in it, and I've been wanting to put a tilt wheel in it, tilt steering in it, and I didn't want to spend $1,000+ for an original tilt steering column. And so I thought, I knew the van steering columns were close, but there was a few modifications you had to make. So I'm thinking, I picked up a van column, reasonable, a couple $100. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and cut that down. You have to cut it down and make a couple little modifications. So I'm gonna do that, and I figured I would bring you along and see, so you can see exactly what it entails. That way, if you decide you want to do one, you kind of have an idea. I haven't found any videos on cutting a van column down to fit a C10, the 67 to 72 C10. So I'm going to figure it out on my own here. So stick with me, and we'll get through this. So here we have the two columns. The green one, that's actually the original column out of my truck. The truck was originally a 4-speed, and I put an automatic in it. So I put an automatic column in it. But this is actually the original column out of that truck. And over here is our van column. As you can see, they're real close. As far as length goes, the overall column, but you can see the shaft is a bit longer. So what I got to do, I got to take this column apart. I'm going to cut this shaft back up in here somewhere and weld it back together. And then then that should be good for that part. But right here, this is your neutral safety switch / backup light switch. So I'm going to have to cut a hole in here and make provisions for that. So, because I want a neutral safety switch in it, so, and that'll make it look like it came from the factory that way. So, other than that, the columns are pretty much the same, other than, the obvious, one's a tilt and one's not. So, we'll get this set up in the vise and get this column tore apart. Okay, so let's get started. First thing we need to do is we need to remove our levers. I've got the shift, obviously the turn signal, and tilt mechanism. Let's get this rolled around. For the shift lever, we'll do that first. There's just a pin in there that holds it, which, if you've ever messed with one of these, you know what they are. Let's see, I have a punch here. Okay. There's just a little pin here. You just drive that out. Comes right out. There's supposed to be a spring in there, but oh yeah, there's one in there. Well, it doesn't want to come out, so we'll leave it in there for now. We have that's for our 4-way flashers. That's just a screw. That comes right out. We'll set these over to the side here. And the turn signal. I'll try not to make this thing too long and drawn out, if I can. I need to get a little, let's turn this. Need to get a little wrench for that one there. Yeah. There we go. All right. Get threads out of there. Okay, we got our nut that holds our steering wheel on. You know, I think I'll take that off too. So, less chance of breaking it. Because I really don't want to break it. Okay. So, the next thing we want to do, oh, there's a light right here that lights up your indicator. The first thing we want to do before we pull that out, we want to get our old turn signal switch out. There's 3 screws that hold that in. Hopefully you guys can see this. Or if not, hopefully you know what you've been in one of these this far and you know what I'm doing here. Somebody's cut the pigtail off of this turn signal switch. Hopefully I can use the one off of the truck. Alright, so what we got to do, I figured out, this has to come off first, this piece here. That's just pressed on there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and pop it off of there. And it's pretty tight. I think it's probably been on there forever. So we just take a punch and get right in the corner of this and tap it off of here. If I bend that up, then I gotta fix it. So, but there we go. So this just slides right off of here. And the turn signal switch comes off with it. So I didn't do too much damage to it. These should pull. Since somebody cut them, it saved me a little bit of work getting it out of there. Okay. So we are down to here. Okay, first thing we got to do, there's a nut right here that holds that steering column. Right on it here. Yeah, maybe. So what I want to do, I'm going to have to hold it right here by the groove. I don't want to grab the threads. There's a little splined area right here. I'll grab it so I don't screw them up. And we won't go real tight with this. Just a little bit more here. Yeah, let's see. And we'll put the wrench up back here. And there we go. Okay, so we got that, got the nut off. There's a little a bearing retainer right here. There's a little row of bearings in here. So, and that's just a little cup to retain the bearing. Okay, so what we've got now is our tilt mechanism. We have a pin on each side, and that pin they need to pull out of there. Actually, first we probably need to do this. There's a spring. That's your spring right there for that holds tension on your tilt. That needs to come out to get pressure off of those pins. Otherwise, you take those pins and without pulling that spring, and you're going to get a surprise. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a screwdriver in here, and we'll push on that. Oh, we'll get that right here. Get that good and tight, so it doesn't go anywhere. So we will push on this and turn it. There. So there's your spring. But yep, no, it doesn't want to come out of there. Well, it doesn't need to come out of there right now. I got the pressure off of it. That's all that really matters. Okay, so back to the pins. So we have this pin, we have a pin right here. Might be kind of hard to see. That's a little better. So right here's our pin. And like I said, that's what your column swivels on. So I will show you how I get, they might make a, and those have to be just pulled out. And they might make a puller for those. I don't know. If they do, I don't have one anyway. So what I do is I kind of do a little redneck ingenuity here and make my own puller. And all it is a 8/32 screw with a nut on it and a washer and a socket, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch drive, 1/2 inch socket. And that has worked good for me in the past. I use stainless steel because they're a little tougher than galvanized, but you just thread that right in there. I guess you could probably use a slide hammer. Then you would have to build you an attachment for your slide hammer to hook onto it. But this way here, it doesn't, you're not going to get a lot of jarring action where you could break your screw. And hopefully these will come out. They're pretty tight. See what we got going on here. Not yet. You can usually feel it. I know in the past, I took a couple of these apart before. In the past, I could feel it when it popped loose. Feels like it's doing something here. Oh yeah, it's coming. We'll show you what it's doing. You can see it's pulling it out right there. Just keep going with it and it'll come out of there. There we go. It's out of there now. All right. Okay, so I think, so what we've got, it's ready to come off there. It's holding right here. I think, if I remember right, let's try this. I think we can screw this back in. Okay, we got the pins out. You see it's pretty much ready to come out. There's a lock here, I believe, that's holding it. And I think I screwed this arm back in. And I think if I pull that up, that releases it and it comes right off. So there you have it. That part is off of there. And that's pretty much the steering column. There's our spring. Okay, so this should pull right out of there. Okay, so we got this cleaned up, and this is just a bearing on the bottom of it right here, and that just slides off. And this little guy, back to this little guy, there's supposed to be a spring clip on there that retains it. So now that column will just slide right out of there. So there you have it. We are down to the column. This is the part we got to cut. Whatever it was out of it that I can't remember. I'll have to measure. I wrote it down. I think it's about 2.5 inches. So the rest of this still needs to come apart because I'm going to take this thing all apart, clean it while I got it apart, and I'm going to have to cut this there's an inner sleeve in here that works for your shifter, and I'll have to notch that out for my neutral safety switch. So I have 4, they look like probably 5/16. So I'll go grab some wrenches and I'll be right back. Okay, so I need to cut 2 3/4 out of that shaft is what I need to cut. It's so easy. Okay, there, that just comes right off there. And there's our inner shaft right there. Or actually not necessarily our inner shaft, it's our sleeve for the shifter. And there's a little C-clip in there. So, and I will have to get that off. I have there we go. the end of that thing. Just try to get one of these little guys up under it. There. A little clip. And this should, I think this should, see how is that? A little washer. There it goes. All right, there's your shifter tube. Right there. And this little guy will just this little guy should be able just to work him out of there. The tilt column is a lot more involved than the regular column, that's for sure. All right, your little retainer. And this slide right off. So there you have it. Our column is completely stripped down. So what I need to do now is I'm going to clean it all up. I need to make my modifications and then sand her down. I'm going to paint it and put it back together. And then we'll have a 1971 C10 steering column. And nobody will ever know that it's not one. So, all right, well, I don't think you need to watch me clean it up. I'll get set up, I'll weld it, cut that, weld it back together, and then I'll have to figure out where to notch that one. So I will be back. Okay, so I figured out I need to take 2 3/4 inches out of this, and so I put some tape around it. Cut it here and here. Then I will taper it and weld them back together. And what I'm going to do in order to keep it straight, I just got a piece of angle iron. I'll lay it in here. I'll clamp it on both sides. After it's cut, I'll put it back together, clamp it both sides, and I'll spot it with a welder, and then I'll turn it 1/4 turn, spot it again, turn it 1/4 turn, spot it again, and then just go from there and just weld it up, and then grind it down flat, and it'll be good to go. So I will probably not show you that process. It's pretty, I mean, you see people welding all the time. So I'm going to just, I might show you once I get it cut and once I get it set on here and clamped. I'll probably show you then, and then I'll shut the camera off, weld it up, and show you the finished product here. Okay, so this is what I've got. So I cut each end of those, tapered them. So what I'll do is I will lay them in here, bring them together, butt them up, And I got a nice little V right here I can weld. I'll put a clamp on each side here, and I will weld that up. Like I said, I will spot it, I'll rotate it, spot it, rotate it, and it should be just good to go. So, okay, there you have it. I got the rod cut down. It's got, it fits in here, and it sticks, it just goes in here just where it needs to be. So it's going to set just about right there. And we have about 2 inches sticking out the bottom, which is pretty much perfect. I'll bring you around here and show you. So right there, 2 inches. So that's exactly where it needs to be. So I'll get this thing sanded down, get it cleaned up. I cut a hole from my shift, my neutral safety switch. I'll get that finished up, and we'll get this thing put back together. So I'll be back shortly. Okay, here we are. A couple days later, got the column all cleaned up. Got all my modifications done. It's all painted up. It's time to put her back together and get it put in the truck. All right, let's get started. This might be just a kind of a condensed version because you saw me take it apart. We'll see. This video is probably going to be kind of long, so if I don't cut it down a little bit. Got your little spiral washer, goes in first, or wavy washer, I should say. And you've got this guy right here, which he's kind of and sometimes he'll pop right in there. Sometimes he gives you a little bit of trouble, but it goes in there. There. That time it fell right in. Okay. All right, there's, see, next we want to do our tube, our shifting tube, right here. Has to go in there and just right past that. Probably have to find something and tap that in there. Okay, so what I've got a plastic hammer. See if we can tap that up in there. I think it needs to go just a little bit more here. So we've got the little thin washer goes in here. We've got a keeper that goes. Let's see, is that in there? Not quite. There it is. Okay. So we got that there. Okay. Next, we probably want to do this guy right here. This guy right here. And that's going to go just like that. Then there's a little notch that has to set in. There we go. There. Okay. These don't have to be super tight, but they do need to be tight. All right. Our shaft here. Okay. There's that. All right. This, you need that spring there. That goes on there. So we gotta pull back on that. Make sure that pops in there, and that's in. That's in right there. Remember our little pins that go in the side here. Not lined up quite right here. There we go. There we go. We'll tap these babies in. All right. Those are in. Got our spring. Our spring keeper. Okay, we got this guy right here. This guy's kind of tough. He can be stubborn sometimes. Put it in there and take our screwdriver, push it in there and turn it. There. It helps if you got this all the way up. Got it tilted all the way up. But that's that. All right. Now then, got a little bearing retainer. Holds that bearing right there. I'm going to bring that up. Yeah. So we've got this nut. Hold your, that screws on here and hold your bearing. Just like that. See, it might be just a little bit tight. No play. Yep. That's good. Okay. Next thing we're going to do, we have our lower bearing that goes down in the bottom that supports this shaft at the bottom. There's just some notches that fits in down there. Slide that on. Got our cover that goes over it with a keeper in it. All right, there it is. It's getting it. It's getting it. All right. So I think next we probably want to do our turn signal switch. So our turn signal switch, I thought I was going to be able to use the one out of the non-tilt column because it had the plug on it. Well, I can't. They're different. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one. This is a good one. I cleaned up the contacts on it real good and put some dielectric grease in it. I'm going to go ahead and put this in, and I will I have an old one that has the right end on it over there. I'll just cut it, solder these together, shrink wrap them, and that's the best I can do without buying a new turn signal switch. And it's kind of pointless unless I have a bad one, and I know this is a good one, so we'll go ahead and use it. These two long ones here, I believe. I believe that's the short one right there. Okay. Okay, let's do this. There's a cover right there. That just slides off. That's kind of a, I guess you'd call it like a diffuser or something for that light. Well, there you have it. Steering column is done. Got it painted up, all put back together, ready to bolt in. Neutral safety switch is working. Okay, then if you like this kind of content, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'm going to get this put in the truck, and I don't think I need to record that. There's lots of videos out there on putting a steering column in, so it's pretty much straightforward. It's just bolting everything in. So, all right, well, you all take care, and till next time, see ya.